Guys, Nate here with Hood Rat Racing Co. coming at you with another video. And in this episode, we're working on this 94 GT. Let's get right into it. If you guys have been following along on social media, over the wintertime, we actually put a motor in this car. So the old motor had a bunch of issues and it needed to get ripped out. And Holbrook Racing actually came through and put together a nice long block for this thing. So it's a stock bottom end, GT40 head and intake setup. It's got a trick flow stage 1 cam. It's running on a Mega Squirt ECU. It's got tubular K-member, coilovers, the whole nine. It's a good little car. It's got a lot of goodies on it, but more power is always better, so that's what we're going to cover today. All good upgrades start with a tote full of goodies, and for the fat cherry on top, we got ourselves a Powerdyne blower to throw on. In an NA Mustang, when you snatch second and the 20-year-old radials light off, you feel like you're moving. We throw that blower on there, we're going to be lighting off in third. We're going to be moving like Sputnik, boy. Alright, so we got a whole laundry list of things we need to do on this car, so I think I'm going to start with the easiest thing, which would be the fuel pump. So let's get right to it. I should probably find out how much gas is in this thing. Oh, that's actually better than I thought it would be. So as you can see, we got the tank dropped and we got the pump ripped out of the car. Now we're going to start disassembling and show you what we're putting in. So for this build, we're installing the Aeromotive 11540. It's a 340 liter per hour pump, and it should meet all the demands that the Powerdyne blower is going to be asking for, so let's get it installed. Alright, so as you can see, the new pump is installed, all wired in, new S-hose is on, new sock is on, and I opted to just hardwire it because the profile for the connector takes up a lot of room, and you don't really have a lot of room to shove this back in through the tank, so I opted for just the hardwire connection. Everything's crimped and heat shrunk, and we're ready to toss it back in. Alright, so gas tank's reinstalled with the new pump. We got all the gas we drained out back in the tank. Let's make sure we don't have any leaks and see if she'll make some noise for us. That trick flow can be barking like a mug. You guys heard it here. This will be the last time this thing fires up naturally aspirated. The easy part's done. That was just the first thing on the laundry list. So I think tomorrow, because it's already getting late, I'll start by pulling the radiator out, pulling parts of the accessory drive off, looking through my bucket of parts, and see what we got, what works, what we need, try to come up with some kind of game plan, and I'll show you how I piece it all together, so stay tuned. Alright, so it is the next day, and as you can see, we were chugging along, started pulling some stuff apart, pulled some of the accessory drive apart. I still need to get the rest of this intake tube out of here. The filter's still inside the fender here. But started draining the coolant system and whatnot, got the hose off. From what I can understand, it looks like this whole accessory bracket over here is going to get deleted in place for the Powerdyne unit. The alternator is going to get moved down to basically where the smog pump is, so that'll get deleted, thank God. And yeah, let's see what we get here. I'm trying to just go through old forums and threads and find all the info I can. Some of it's, you know, misleading, whatever. I even found some work instructions for a BD10 unit, which I'm sure is a little different, but some of the principles will probably be the same. But yeah, we're just chugging along here. Gonna keep the ball rolling. Cool little side note here. If you're looking to recycle some fluid to reuse, you can buy these paint strainers off Amazon for pretty cheap. So like you can see, I dumped out the fluid that was in the reservoir here, and it caught a lot of junk that was suspended in it. So cheap insurance, you know, for reusing fluid. So cool little investment there. I did have a couple little things I need to fix, like there's a piece of wire holding this AC line here. I'll probably put a P-clamp on that. And then the thermostat housing is leaking, you know, every small block Ford ever. So I'll probably try to reseal that, just because it's going to be a pain to get to once the blower unit's on. And yeah, we're just going to keep chugging along here, and I do my best to be as informative as I can without boring you guys too much. So let's get right back into it. Alright guys, so as you can see, we're making some headway here. So we did get the thermostat reinstalled, new gasket, RTV on both sides. That's the only way this will ever seal. 15 foot-pounds on the bolts. Do not go over that. You will crack the ear off the intake manifold. I've seen it. I've done it. It's not fun. But other than that, everything's good. I'm just going to let the RTV dry. I'm not going to put any coolant in it yet. Hoses are back on. I tried to orientate all the clamps so they're not a total pain to get to if you have to service this thing. Besides that, we're looking all right. We got the blower bracket on here. So one thing to note, these sleeves, in case you're missing them, are 3 7/16 inches long. They're the same for both sleeves, whatever. The top bolt's a 7/16 bore. The lower bolt's a 3/8, I believe. So if you're missing those, now you have the info you need. This bolt ended up working out of the tote. This one, I can't find a shorter one, so I'm gonna have to get a shorter one from the hardware store or something. But we're looking okay so far as the mock-up goes. So all these holes right here are gonna mount the blower to the bracket. On the archway here, these two across from each other for the alternator. These three are for the tensioner for the blower. The only one that doesn't fit, I guess, is the countersunk one down here at the bottom. So I don't know if something additional goes there, some kind of brace or something. I'm not sure. But we're looking all right. The heater hoses come right up against the backside of the plate here, but it's flat to flat, so I don't think it'll be a problem. I could probably try pushing this hose a little deeper on there, but again, I don't think it's going to be too bad of an issue. It does get really tight here by the frame rail. It's not touching, and the AC line's got this rubber sleeve on it, so I don't think chafing will be a problem. I don't think the brake lines to the ABS pump will be a problem. But yeah, just trying to slowly take my time with it, make sure everything fits and whatnot. Trying to do it right, trying to do it safe. So yeah, I think it's time to test fit this blower, see how she looks. So the housing's loose, so I can rotate if I need to. Let's see. It's a snug fit, for sure. Alright, so blower's installed in all its glory. I just got one bolt for the mock-up to hold it in. But I see two things that are going to be a problem already. One is belt routing. So you can see that the crank is going to be interesting because it looks like I have what is like a Fox body pulley for the crank. So we'll see about that. Also for charge tube. Interesting. I'll have to play with it. But one thing I am noticing with this, so this is a GT40 intake with the trick flow elbow on it, and then the stock throttle body for a GT. On the stock intake manifold, it doesn't drop. It curves around on the SNs, but it doesn't drop like the trick flow elbow does. And I think that's part of what's kind of kicking me in the groin here, because if I put this up, I'm assuming how it would be for a SN, that probably works-ish one way or another. So I have to figure out charge pipe fitment, and I'll have to figure out crank pulley. But for the overall mock-up, it's looking pretty dope. All right, so it is tomorrow. I'm about to ramble off a bunch of information, so try to keep up. I had to pull all of this back apart because I stumbled upon the Powerdyne work instructions for this blower kit for SN95 5-liter, and I was wrong, okay? First thing, I was missing this back plate, which as you can see bolts to the cylinder head, and then these sleeves and everything, once it's all cinched down, will hold this all nice and tight and rigid. So I was missing that, and that gives you the correct spacing for the bracket for pulley alignment and whatnot. That was one big issue I was fighting with all day. So we got all that straightened out. The next thing, the bottom bracket, the bottom hole in the bracket is for the smog pump. Now I'm sure the spacers you use depend on whether you're using a delete or the original smog pump. But if you're using a delete, I'm using a 1/4 inch sleeve here and a 7/8 sleeve here. And if all of these are built the same way, that gives me the correct spacing for the serpentine drive. So the smog and the crank are square. So that's off to a good start. The next order of business, 3/8 by 16 stud. I cut it at 6 inches and then ran it in to where I was comfortable with it. Double nutted it, and then put my sleeves on, got all this set up. And as you can see, the smog pump delete has a bracket, or at least a hole for a bracket on the bottom, and that'll come up and mount to the water pump stud there for a SN95. Throw a washer and a nut on it, torque it down, you're good. Smog pump is, for lack of better terms, whatever right now, it is fully installed, ready to go. The next thing is I need to split the case on the alternator and reclock it because it has to bolt sideways, but the terminals need to be facing up for the charging harness to hook up to it and sneak through all this stuff here, this bracketry. So that's the next order of business, but we're off to a good start. Also, the charge tube, I'm kind of a dingus, and my buddy Cameron actually brought this up. You can move these keepers around to clock this however you need. So I basically just took one keeper from the bottom, put it on the top, and that dropped the snout enough for the outlet to line up with the throttle body on the car. So we're in business on that end. Pulley alignment's looking pretty good so far. I still got to play with the blower belt tensioner here to make sure that's going to line up. And I still need to install the serpentine belt tensioner on that side now, which are these two funny looking little guys right there. So the bottom one is the serpentine drive tensioner. The top one is the blower tensioner. But yeah, sorry, it's a lot of info at once, but we're making headway. Everything seems like it's going to work. If I have to modify the blower tensioner, that's fine. I'd rather have to modify one thing versus 20 things trying to make stuff work. So I'm glad I was able to find the instructions for this and actually piece it together how it's supposed to be. But yeah, so we're going to keep messing with this thing, and I'll let you know what we get. All right, y'all. So last time I was with you, we had the smog pump installed, but now we have the alternator installed. So let me give you a quick rundown on how we did that. So if you're like me, you can rob parts from your stock accessory drive here, aka the alternator bolts. So you do have to reclock the alternator, so I'll just walk you through everything you're gonna do. So for the alternator, you're gonna rip the pulley off the 24, set it shaft side down. You can put the nut back on to kind of give it some stability, put a cup on it, something, just to hold it. You're gonna undo the 3 bolts on the back side, and then you're gonna slowly tap the front half of the casing down the shaft until there's enough slop that you can reclock the casing on the alternator. You don't want to go too far, and you don't want to separate from the rear side. You want to separate from the front side only. So something to note there. And then your ideal position is going to be fat ear towards the center of the engine, shallow ear on the outside, and all your connectors pointing up. So what I did for bolts is I took the stock alternator bolts. This one, the long one, I had to cut down like maybe 1 inch. And then because I'm missing the bolt that should go in from the back, because this isn't a totally complete kit, I had to do this, which I don't even know if you will see. There's a nut back there, and I can just barely sneak a 5/8 wrench in there to hold it and snug it all up. So it's probably gonna bite me in the tail later, but for now it'll work. It's definitely gonna do the job. And then for the small one, the small ear, I took the stock bolt and put a sleeve on it so I could put a nut on it, because it's not threaded all the way down the bolt. There is a blank section, so I needed to take up that room. But everything's torqued down and Loctited. The only 2 bolts that aren't right now are the 2 mains, because I got to see where the belt wants to lay, and I got to make sure there's no interference with hardware or anything like that. But we are slowly getting there, and it's coming together really nice. So charging harness. So Powerdyne wants you to kind of reroute this a little bit. On this car, the charging wire itself was going on the back side of this positives cable, so I undid it and put it on the front side to free up some room. And then I pulled out as much as I could. I got it going on the rear end of the coil instead of towards the front like it would be on the OEM application. And then Powerdyne wants you running it under the thermostat housing, and then it'll spin out between the 2 sleeves, and you can make all your connections. It's not too taut. Everything's got a little bit of wiggle room. Not bad at all. So it's coming together. It's not too bad. So as far as serpentine drive goes, the last thing we really need is that new tensioner that's going to bolt here, and then the front serpentine drive will be complete. And then from there, it's blower time. And I'm pretty sure with all of this, we can use the stock belt, which will also be nice because we don't have to, try to track down the right size belt. So I'm going to test that theory here soon. So I'm going to keep at it, and I'll let you know what we get. So it's been a couple days, but we're continuing on test fitting and making sure everything fits properly. As you can see, the serpentine drive is fully complete. Everything's installed. We got our provided Powerdyne crank pulley spacer along with the OEM Fox Body 5-liter crank pulley that the blower uses. So you need to have that. For this tensioner that the Powerdyne kit provides, our pulley was smoked, right? It's a 3.5-inch pulley. The bearing's cooked. Mating surface is chewed up. It's got a dent in it. This isn't going to work very well for us. It's going to make noise. So you can do as a solution, because a 3.5-inch pulley is kind of an odd thing to need, you can rob the 3-inch pulley off your OEM tensioner that used to live about here, and you can throw that right on. The sleeve fits perfectly. I got really lucky with that. So that was an easy solution for that problem. Another thing, there's like a cooling module brace that used to live here. You need to relocate that module, and I opted for an easy solution, which was to mount it here to the apron. So I just unmounted it from the original brace, drilled a couple holes in the apron, and then reused the OEM fasteners to mount this in this location. Obviously, you probably wouldn't want to delete this. It looks pretty important. But it's still in a serviceable location. You can get to it fairly easily. So not too bad there. But yeah, we're coming along really nicely. So I'm going to keep plugging away. See if we can get this blower on here. And let you know what we get from there. Alright guys, so as you can see, the blower is installed now. We got our inlet tube on. We got our MAF hook sensor hooked up. We got our air temp sensor hooked up. Everything's tensioned, ready to go. Everything's Loctited and torqued down blower side. Belt seems to have adequate tension on it. We got our new modified radiator hose on here. So you see it just kind of comes around the blower pulley. But yeah, not too shabby. So we got one more thing left to do, and that is to change out the injectors. And then this thing can get tuned and it'll be ready to go. So let's keep chugging away. All right, guys, as you can see, the upper intake plenum's ripped off, and now we're going to get to the injectors. So these are the stock orange top 19 pounds, I believe, EV1s, and we're switching to EV6s. Now, supposedly these are from a Terminator. They're 39-pound injectors, and they require the EV6 connectors. So we've been splicing in the new connectors I ordered off Amazon. They're pretty cheap for a whole kit. Supposedly GM uses EV6s as well. So these injectors and the new 340 pump in the tank should more than have enough juice to keep up with the Powerdyne blower. So not too bad. Rail's depressurized now. I went and dumped the Schrader valve, so we can pop this rail off and start swapping these injectors out. I do have new O-rings and new intake gaskets as well, so we'll be doing all that. But yeah, let's just keep plugging away and see what happens. All right, so as you can see, we got this bank all done. All the EV6s are installed, new O-rings, the new connectors are all spliced in. Time to jump onto that side. So, we got everything installed. All the injectors are in, new EV6 connectors are in. Went to put the upper plenum back on, and I achieved about 9 foot-pounds, and that ear cracked. So, bad news, intake's junk, unless I can find somebody to fix it. Good news is my buddy Raymond's on his way here with another GT40 intake to replace this with. So we're going to keep this ball rolling. All right, guys. So as you can see, car's on the ground, and we are 100% fully installed. Shout out to my buddy Ray. Pulled up with our new GT40 intake here. Couldn't have done this without him. He really saved me on this one. So it's all back together now. Charge pipe's on. We got our bypass valve on. Now I was told, and I've seen this on some forum threads as well, that for MAF cars, you do have to plumb the bypass into the inlet side in front of the MAF so it can read the proper amount of air coming in, I guess. But on speed density, I guess you don't. You can let it vent to atmosphere like a blow-off valve on a turbo car, essentially. So we just got a venting to atmosphere on this. We got our vacuum reference here from the intake. So it'll still vent and relieve boost pressure off throttle, which is what we need. But everything came out really nice. Everything's tensioned really good. We got coolant in the system here. Stock coolant reservoir does not fit. I tried. It tries to take up the same real estate as the blower belt, and obviously the belt's going to win that one. So as a temporary solution, I got a little Coke bottle in here with the overflow, just so it has somewhere to go instead of puking coolant on the ground, right? But I'm really happy with the way this install came out. So the game plan tomorrow is Nolan's going to come over here, and we're going to try to talk to the Mega Squirt on his laptop. And basically, we got to tell the computer that it now has 39-pound injectors in it, so it's not trying to run the 39s at 99% duty cycle like the 19s were. So that was part of the reason we're upgrading in the first place. But, yeah, so we'll see what tomorrow brings. We'll see how Old Girl wants to run for us, and see if it'll run under boost for the first time. I'm really excited about this, so stay tuned, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow. Alright guys, so as you can see, car's running. The Mega Squirt knows it's got 39-pound injectors now, and she's actually running pretty good. Not doing anything too crazy. Blower sounds wicked, but it's at this point that the car is now going to leave my hands, and it's going to get dialed in and do some data logging with it, do some test runs with it, you know, try to get it running real good. But you can only go up from here. Very happy with how this install came out. Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of Hood Rat Racing Co. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found everything informative. And thanks for sticking around. What you got to say to the good people, Nolan?
Oh, sounds amazing. Looks good. Sounds good. Runs good.
Hell yeah.
The big three.
Absolutely. Thank you guys again. Appreciate all your support. Catch you in the next video. Peace.